The Dorkening and all affiliated shows are not intended for anyone under the age of 18. The following may contain discussions or scenes that have adult situations, graphic violence, nudity, strong sexual content, and graphic language. This show is intended for mature audiences only. Viewer discretion is advised.
Everyone thinks because you're a zombie, you don't know good coffee. Well, they're wrong. There's only one brew that gets my seal of approval. Deadly Grounds coffee is my guilty pleasure. The aroma is so intoxicating. It brings all of my neighbors out of the woodwork. Deadly Grounds coffee. Coffee to die for and zombie approved. It's good to get a little deadly. Use the front door! Oh, they're so disgusting.
Hey, you dorks, this is Gunnar Hansen, Leatherface from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and you are listening to The Dorkening.
Hi, I'm Brian Johnson, and although you probably accidentally stumbled across it and have no idea why you're watching it, you are in fact watching The Dorkening.
Hello, this is Tom Kenny, voice actor, the voice of the Ice King on Adventure Time, and SpongeBob SquarePants. Meow. Oh, Gary the Snail, too. Hey, guess what you're filling your eye holes and ear holes with? The Dorkening! Oh, I love the Dorkening. Very popular in Ooh. And Bikini Bottom.
Hi, I'm Lou Ferrigno. You're watching The Dorkening. And you know what? You don't like me when I get angry, so don't get me angry. You better keep watching The Dorkening.
Hey guys, this is Felissa Rose, and you're watching The Dorkening.
Hey guys, it's Courtney Palm. We're shooting Death House, and you're watching The Dorkening.
This is Anthony Michael Hall, and you're watching The Dorkening. Stay tuned, my friends are going to show you what entertainment's all about, baby.
The Dorkening.
Hey,
yo.
Welcome everybody to Ganja Gospel on the Dorkening Network, where we are live right now on Still Toking with the Dorking, Greenhaven Media, Hellfire Radio, TwizTD RootZ.
That's right. And I think I just saw, what's her name? Linda Blair? Is that who that
Could have
is
been
from
because
Exorcist?
I'm pretty sure that they might have
Is that the chick's name from Exorcist?
I think so.
When she was like, fuck me, and she's beating herself with the cross. Yeah,
I don't remember, babe. I'm not really a horror.
So Still Toking. Shout out to you guys, man. You guys over there interviewing Darth Vader.
Yes.
That's fucking awesome,
Yes.
dude. When you guys do Kylo Ren, bro, come on, I gotta get in there. I gotta get him to endorse my strain so I don't get copyrighted. You know what I mean? If he can endorse Kylo Ren as the strain and then talk to Obi-Wan Kenobi, maybe Yoda, yo, we can get this popping. You know what I'm saying?
Hell yeah. So all those links down below in the description for all of us in the network, all of us here on the Twin Flame Farm. And shout out to everybody, and share, like, and show the love.
That's right.
Welcome again to Ganja Gospel for the 12th tablet. We'll be doing a recap of the 11th tablet here a moment while we
Toki.
Smoke our offerings.
That's right. Sorry, I'm
Fill
just
the
kind of
pews.
still imagining like Darth Vader and Kylo Ren and Obi-Wan Kenobi all smoking their strains. You know what I mean? They all smoke their own strain. Like, here you go, guys. I made one for all of you. I got one. Remember, you gave it to me. You said, "Here, you."
Oh
keep
yeah,
that.
I did, didn't I? My bad.
Fuck yeah. Oh Christ, we're smoking Kylo Ren right now, and I don't yet have a Darth Vader, but you know, witch's brew can always be Darth Vader.
A little refreshing Sunny D for the throat while I read to you.
Okay, so she's in love with the sour shit. It's so sour and tangy. I'm like,
it's Sunny D tangy, and I'm just loving it, and he's having a hard time.
She eats lemons for fun.
I do.
For snacks.
I do. Give me a little lemon or a little lime. I put lemon like on almost.
Oh, it's so exciting. Good Lord of mercy. I'm telling you what.
Give me some more. Oh, hell no. Oh. That's funny.
Oh, it's so good.
Goodness, honey.
You know
Are
it.
you sure you want that?
Oh, it's so good. It gets you extra juicy.
It sounds like it.
Good Lord, man.
Don't drool everywhere now. Oh, goodness.
Cheers, everybody. Welcome to
Cheers,
another
everyone.
Sunday of the Ganja Gospel. We're about to get into this.
We are indeed.
Have you smoked enough?
I have smoked enough. Let's recap
One more hit. How about?
and get into the 11th tablet. What we learned and talked about last week. A lot of cool shit went down last week.
It totally did.
Yeah, lemon goes on everything. I put it in my spaghetti. I put it like it
Puts it on
goes
Cheetos.
all over. Yeah, I did. I put it on Cheetos last night. Mm-hmm.
Cheetos. I tried them. It wasn't bad.
You like to squirt lemon juice on your cuts?
Oh.
Nice, Billy Bob. I'm sure that's like that, tough man pain you want to go through. I don't know. Like that hurt so good pain. Was it getting a little bright in here for you?
No, this was my original look. But I was drinking the Sunny D and started sweating. Remember, and they fogged up.
Oh, is that what happened?
Yeah, I had to take them off.
Oh, that's right. That's mine. Don't take my lighter. All right. What happened last week? I'll tell you what happened.
Jesus happened last week.
The spaceport's land, Tillman, is declared a neutral zone. It is granted to Ninmah, who is renamed Ninharzag. Marduk gets the Dark Lands, and Enlilites the Olden Lands. Marduk's grandsons quarrel. Satu murders Asar, impregnating herself. Asar's wife Asta bears Horon.
Horus.
In aerial battle over Tillman, Horon vanquishes Satu. The Enlilites deem it prudent to prepare another spaceport. Enki's son, Dumuzi, and Inanna, Enlil's granddaughter, fall in love.
Mary and Jesus.
Fearing the consequences, Marduk causes Dumuzi's death.
Marduk, his own brother, kills Jesus.
Seeking his body, Inanna is put to death, then resurrected.
Yep.
Inanna launches a war to seize and punish Marduk.
Yep.
The Enlilites break into his hideaway in the Great Mount. They seal the uppermost chamber to entomb Marduk alive. Marduk's wife, Sarpanit, and his son, Nabu, plead for his life.
So Nabu is human. Sarpana is human. That was the creation.
Ningazida, knowing the Mount's secrets, reaches Marduk. Marduk, his life spared, goes into exile. Enki and Enlil divide the earth among their other sons.
Yep. They divide the earth, not just Europe, the earth, they said. The earth. Now, before that time, the melting city, the city of metals, was already a thing. And that sunk when the flood happened. They said the Atlantis sunk under the water. It did. It did, but it was the flood. And they wrote about it. Thoth wrote about it. Not quite in this. So Ningazida is Thoth. That's Thoth. Go read about it. You're going to hear everything Thoth did, Ningazida did. So you just got to connect them. So there's the emerald tablets of Ningazita, right? Where that's the emerald tablets of Thoth. Where they start off by telling how he came about being there. Why he was writing these tablets. And he said, Well, I crawled out of Atlantis. I took the last spaceship out of that motherfucker as it sunk, and I flew over the water until the mud became dry. There was land. He found land, and he landed, and he found people, right, up in the mountains and shit with his spaceships. He built the pyramids. Then he found the people up in the mountains. Survivors of the flood is what he called them, right? So they were living in the caves and shit. Cavemen at the time. He grabbed them. Those became your Egyptian people. Those became your ancient Egyptians. Before that, there was never an ancient Egyptian. There were slaves. There was only slaves. There was Anunnaki who walked and lived in those pyramids, not in them, but they lived amongst them and shit, right? And then there were slaves. There was no Egypt as we know it or think it was. There was no people, like there were slaves, all slaves. So that's what they did. You know what I mean? It's fucking crazy as shit. Jesus was alive in those days. Moses got floated down a damn river. Dude, Moses is a thing. He's just, coming up in the world. Moses is coming up in the world and stuff. And you got to remember, most these people were living an ungodly amount of time. Not 30 years. We think, disease and everything's terrible back then, and they all died. Did we turn this on?
Yes.
Disease and everything was bad, and people died early and stuff, and that's why no one drank water. They all drank wine. Well, guess what? The wine first had water in it. You know what I mean? It's not just grape juice. It's like, how many grapes did it take? They had to mix it with something. And so people lived a long damn time. You know why? Because they knew how to heal themselves. And why don't we take a small toki and heal ourselves?
Toki. So what's going to happen this week? I'll tell you.
You have to heal yourself. That's our sacrament. This is our witchy little ceremony.
So this week, the soil dries, plains and river valleys are resettled. Plentiful gold comes from the land beyond the seas. Anu and his spouse Antu arrive for a memorable visit.
Okay, remember that real quick. So there's the Temple of the Rock, Dome of the Rock, right? Now, many times, all kinds of motherfuckers landed on this thing. But every time Anu comes, that's specifically, he won't land anywhere else on the whole planet. He has to land on the Dome of the Rock. So when they talk about God once sat there, I believe, honestly, they're talking about Anu. I don't believe they're talking about Enlil or Enki or none other. I believe they're waiting for Anu to come back. So you see, certain times, this dude will come back and he'll come here and land because the Nibiru gets close enough. It's like he don't want to spend time on a spaceship. It's almost like if he leaves his planet and comes back, I wonder how much time goes by.
Oh, yeah.
I wonder how much time they lose.
Considering the difference.
It's strange.
Reminiscing, the leaders realize they are destiny's pawns. They allocate 3 regions of civilization to mankind. Pardoned by the departing Anu, Marduk remains rebellious. The first region and space facilities are Enlilite lands. Man's first civilization begins in the first region, Sumer. Marduk usurps a site to build an illicit launch tower. Frustrated by the Enlilites, Marduk seizes the second region. He deposes and exiles Ningizida, Thoth, to distant lands. He declares himself Ra, supreme god, in a new religion. He introduces pharaonic reigns to mark a new civilization. Enlil assigns his son Ishkur to protect the metal sources.
Yep.
Inanna is granted dominion in the third region, Indus Valley.
So now remember, in the beginning here, Thoth was Ra. I believe. Ningazida is the father, I believe, of Horus and all these people or some shit like that. I could have it a little backwards. But Thoth was the first founder of Egypt. You know, the pyramids were built before. But when they found dry land again, that's where they built the Great Pyramids. They're standing there today to this time. And because Thoth built those after the flood wiped everything off of the face of the earth, every single thing. So that's what they said. So they said, if what you see now could have possibly been built after the flood, absolutely. And then people were like, okay, cool. That puts it in that 2,500 time frame. Do you think so? I've tracked the flood 15,000 years and I stopped because I got to Jesus and my mind was fucking blown. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? This is the story of Jesus. Nothing to do with the mortal man. Nothing to do. There was no Mary. There was no hooker. There probably was. But what it's saying to me is they keep pointing out the longer they stay here, if they had a generation of children, if their children, the Anunnaki's children, had children on Earth, they looked exactly like the humans. Exactly. They were the same size, same fucking strength, same skin color, same everything. They aged the same. So you could be sitting next to Anunnaki King God and you have no fucking clue. But see, these people did. That's why I believe they knew Jesus was Jesus, right? They, oh, my Lord, instantly, because they felt a frequency, right? They felt he was different, right? You feel the Holy Spirit in you and stuff. Hell yeah, you do. It's a frequency.
It's a frequency.
We put off auras.
Mm-hmm.
If their aura is more powerful, and it was, they had the God seed. So if it's like your child, Dumuzi was Lord Enki's child, his last born son, not his only begotten son. It was his last born. Remember, he gave birth to Cain and Abel. Abel would have been his only begotten son, truthfully, a human son, Cain, because Cain killed it. You know what I'm saying? I smoke collard greens a little bit. You know where I'm going with that, though, right? There was never a only begotten son because these things were very, what do you call it? Not even promiscuous. They were all into sex. They had orgies and shit. They built cities called Sodom and Gomorrah just specifically for this. And you say, well, that's why they were bad and God destroyed them. Did he really? What's fire and brimstone? Let's look this shit up. Can you fire and brimstone? Can you shoot that from a ship? Or could possibly a belter loader have lassoed some fucking meteors and thrown them at the planet directly because they had a tablet of destiny attached to them, a honed missile from space, but it's space rocks straight down on Sodom and Gomorrah because they realized, well, everyone's getting plugged in their butt. Like everybody, you can't even visit this place. That's why they were like, Lot, you pretty good, man. You don't even get involved with this shit, but you gotta, not his wife did though. See, his wife got involved with the fornication. And he, God, Enki, tried to be like, yo, can you get your wife to stop doing that shit? It's kind of bad. Like, we look terrible up here, man. It's like, you guys are like, wow, look at you.
She's not representing us very well.
That's why she looked back. Lot didn't, because he didn't give a fuck. He's like, I don't fuck people in their butt anyway, so I don't care. I'm going to go this way. He told me to keep walking this way. I have nothing back there that I care about. And his wife was like, but I like it. But honey, and she turned to a pillar of salt. Just get into that story. Get in deep into the truth of that story. Get away from your holy Bible. And it was sinful. Why was it sinful? What did they do in that city that made it so terrible? And I'll tell you, they had a big ass altar in the middle of each town. Every single person, man, woman, goat, horse, bull, dinosaur, it didn't matter. It got strapped to that rock. And the entire town had their way with whatever came through those gates. That's what they did. Go into that story and look it up. You're going to be like, what in the mother hell? And it's a true shit. It's written. They didn't just fantasize about shit. Why would they fantasize about shit? Like, this is why it was terrible. And it was led, not originally, it wasn't built for the fallen angels, But these were two cities that they directly let them inhabit after they came down and settled on Earth. They were like, okay, I guess you guys can stay. We have 7 fucking cities here. Take these 2. And they were twin cities right next to each other. That's why they were so corrupt. They were like, we're gonna plug everyone's butt when they come in here. Hell yeah, we're gonna get a little taste of everybody. Follow that through history. You got kings that would put a rule on their kingdom. If you're gonna get married, I get to have your wife for the first night, and then you get her back. That became a thing. And this is what it was about. It was like a way they could keep doing it without it being seen as the sin, right? So we're going to get into this shit and see how deep this fucking crazy tale goes. And you're going to see all the connections are there. And you can directly relate this story to the Mahabharata. And you're going to see, damn, holy shit. Wait till the nukes fly. Ho, ho, ho. Evil wind's coming in, and thank God it's not Attila no more. Welcome to Ganja Gospel, everybody. Strap in. It's going to get crazy.
The 12th.
Amber Lalana. Books allowed by the hippie witch, Amber Lalana. Isn't she gorgeous today? No, thank you.
Okay, the 12th tablet. To come to Earth one more time, Anu decided. With Anchu, his spouse, he wished to come. While his arrival they waited, the Anunnaki abodes in the Eden to reestablish began. From the mountain lands where descendants of Shem dwelt, to the olden land the black-headed people migrated. Upon the newly dried soil, the Anunnaki let them settle, food for all to provide.
Notice they said black-headed. Shem, those are the one of the sons of Noah. Ham supposedly went to Africa to make black people. Shem had the black-haired people, right? What are black-haired people? They could be the Jewish, the Turks, the Saudi Arabian people, the Middle East. It could be anybody. She got black hair. You know what I'm saying? The black-haired people. That's it. There was red-haired, there was blonde-haired, and there was black-haired, and there was dark-skinned people.
I think it's important to realize the next sentence, their key word there, upon the newly dried soil, the Anunnaki let them settle, food for all to provide, where Eridu, Enki's first city before the deluge, had stood. On top of the myriad of mud and silt, a new Eridu was marked out.
First mud flood.
In its center, upon a raised platform, an abode for Enki and Ninki was built. House of the Lord whose return is triumphant, it was called.
Now, if we have anything like that on this planet today, remember, it's a platform. It's going to be a building, a temple, a shrine, a church. Remember, that's what the fuck it was. It was their house. They lived in this bitch because after the flood waters receded, they needed somewhere to live on Earth.
With gold and silver and precious metals by Enki's sons provided, it was adorned. Above, in a circle skyward pointing, the 12 constellations by their signs were marked out. Below, as in the Abzu, waters with swimming fishes flowed. In a sanctuary, a place that no uninvited can enter, Enki, the me formulas kept. For Enlil and Ninlil, a new Nibruki atop the mud and silt was established. Amid its people's dwellings and cattle folds and stalls, a sacred precinct was walled. An abode for Enlil and Ninlil therein was built. In 7 stages it arose. A stairway, rising as to heaven, to the topmost platform led. His tablets of destinies did Enlil there keep. With his weapons it was protected. The lifted eye that scans the lands, the lifted beam that penetrates all.
Hold on. Where the fuck is my goddamn Lord of the Rings book at? I swear to God, this is fucking Sauron, dude.
Yes, it is.
This is goddamn the tower with the eye of Sauron beaming the fucking land, guys. This is it.
The lifted eye that scans the lands, the lifted beam that penetrates all.
The all-seeing eye that's even in there for what's his name in the Greek mythology, Norse mythology, Odin. Odin's an all-seeing. He's got the all-seeing eye, right?
Right. In the courtyard, in its own enclosure, Enlil's fast-stepping skybird was kept. As the time for the arrival of Anu and Antu neared, for their stay in the Eden, a new place was selected, neither Enlil's nor Enki's to be. Unugki, the delightful place, it was named. Shade trees in it were planted. A pure white structure, the house of Anu, in its midst was built. Its exterior in 7 stages rose. Its interior like a king's quarters was. When the celestial chariot of Anu at earth arrived, Anunnaki skyships toward it soared. For a safe landing at the place of the chariots in Tillman, it was guided. Utu, the place's commander, his great-grandparents to planet Earth welcomed. The 3 children of Anu, Enlil and Enki and Ninarsag, stood there to greet them. They embraced and kissed. They laughed and cried. So long has the separation been. They to each other kept saying. At each other they looked, aging to examine. Though greater in Shars were their parents, younger than the children they looked.
Because they've been on Nibiru. The children have been here. The parents went back. Remember, all the kids stayed here. That's when the planet went to fucking hell. These Gen X fucking millennials got taken over. The whole place got raided and rioted. People were eating everybody. Blood sacrifices were happening. This is what was going on the planet. This is the shit they don't tell you about. This is written in between. Because these were the gods writing it. They weren't talking about how these fucking behemoths were eating people. They missed that part because it's in this other book called the Book of the Giants. This is just the account, the documentation of what all happened. You got to go in the detail in between those sentences. There's whole other writings for that in between that sentence. Shit, we're going to get there too, but let's see what happened here. This is insane. I want you guys to scope this, okay? Floodwaters are raising, right? Okay. And a huge wave went from the south to the north, right? And washed everything away, right? And as that wave lost momentum, that's when they started seeing land again and shit. Shit started, took 150 years for the water to recede. They said everything that was alive turned to clay. Okay, we always say that all these ancient creatures all got compressed down in their rocks and clay and oil and shit like that. These Anunnaki said that everything alive turned to clay. Everything else was covered in mud and silt. Okay, 2 different classifications there. So when they're talking about they built these things, there's this non-Batal place and these other places that how did somebody build this out of solid rock? One chip and the whole fucking building's fucking ruined because these things are works of fucking art, right? They didn't hewn it out of rock. Everyone thinks they did. This was soft fucking clay. It was a living fucking creature or whatever living that it turned to clay. Over those 150 years under the water, it mineralized to clay. When the waters receded, there was soft fucking clay in this big ass giant mountain of a rock that kind of looked like an elephant. Well, I'm going to cut that here. You take that and you go build something with it with the ass end of it here. Go around the world and see this shit in those eyes. Then I'm going to take the ass end here and I'm going to build Nam-Patal or whatever the fuck that place is, dude. We're going to visit these places on the internet here and you're going to be like, dude, that totally, it had to be soft. It's literally all these curves and arches and they built bells all over the place. And it's like, it looks like a multi-layered sex toy or a killing machine of some kind or a frequency device and it's stacked. And it's exactly what she just described. This house that they built for Enlil and his wife. It's fucking insane. They hewn it out of this dry or wet clay. It dried into fucking basalt. It dried into granite. It dried into the hardest rocks that we know of today. These were soft clays. They built walls and shit out of it. They built entire kingdoms when it was soft clay, and then it dried. And then we're like, how the fuck did they cut this, shape it, and why is it rounded? How did they get it so tight? Go get some clay. Go get some builder's clay. Just do that experiment. Fire it. And then try to stick paper between those blocks. You're going to be like, holy shit. That is 100% a possibility. 100 fucking percent. You know what I mean? They said they also used, you know, people were thinking they use these lasers, the sun as a laser to melt solid granite so it would pour out and then they could shape things with it. And I say, well, it was just putty. It was clay when they shaped all this shit. They built fabulous things in times that we can't even fathom, you know, because they had machines, they had lasers and shit. So just get that in your realm. I'm always on the wrong side. For some reason, this side always creeps up on me like a wedgie. But so put yourself in that realm. There is nothing on the planet. Any kind of ground that they're looking at is without trees, without vegetation. All that shit's gone. It is gone. Their job is to you heard them. They replanted shade trees. So that way, what could happen? Grass could grow. Without shade trees, you have no environment. Why do you think deserts don't have high deserts and shit? They don't have grass and shit because there's no environment there. There's nothing to build up an ecosystem. They needed to put why is things so messed up on our planet now? Why does things have trouble growing and stuff? You might say they don't have trouble growing. Go back to time before the flood. Get some documentation of cherry tomatoes this big, you know, grapes bigger than your fucking head, you know, shit like that. It's because of the pressure and CO2 they had. So they had to build these things back up on the earth, and let's see how they did it.
The greater Ishars were the parents, younger than the children they looked. The two sons looked old and bearded. Ninarsag, once a beauty, was bent and wrinkled.
Once a beauty.
All five of them with tears were filled. Tears of joy with sorrowed tears were mingled. In skyships were the guests and their hosts to the Eden taken. In a prepared place beside Unugki, the skyships landed. All the Anunnaki that on earth had stayed as an honor guard were standing. Hail and welcome, hail and welcome. In unison to Anu and Antu, they were shouting. Then, in a procession, singing and music playing, the Anunnaki to the house of Anu, the guests accompanied. In the house of Anu, Anu washed and rested. Then he was perfumed and clothed. Antu,
your royal penis is clean, your highness.
Antu, by female Anunnaki to the house of the golden bed, was escorted.
Oh, shit.
There she too washed and rested. Then she was perfumed and clothed. In the open courtyard, as an evening breeze, the tree leaves rustled. Anu and Antu on thrones were seated. Flanking them were Enlil and Enki and Ninarsag. Attendants, earthlings who were completely naked, wine and good oil served. Others in a corner of the courtyard, a bull and a ram. Gifts of Enlil and Enki on a fire were roasting. A great banquet was for Anu and Antu prepared, for the sign in the heavens its start was awaiting. On Enlil's instructions, Zemul, who in matters of stars and planets was learned, the steps of the house of Anu ascended, the rising of the planets at eventime to announce. On the first step, Kishar in the eastern skies appeared. Lahamu on the second step was seen.
Now, real quick, watch you turn the page. Hold that thought. So you got Anu lands on Earth for his last time, right? In a specific spot on Earth, and then he's taken somewhere, bathed and fed and sat on a throne so he can look out on the horizon and see specific points in the sky. Now we go around the earth, right? We like, hey man, why do they put these rocks on this hill like this? Like, All right, well, if we track some stuff, oh, wow, look, it tracks this and that. Well, this is exactly some spot on this planet. He landed, right, on the Dome of the Rock, of course. That's where he landed. He landed there. He went to another spot, wherever the fuck they said, over by the Eden. They bathed him, washed his penis, washed his butt, washed her up and shit, got him all clothed up, and then sat him on a throne. They said they took him somewhere else, I think, sat him on a throne so they could watch the different planets come up above the horizon one by one. Now, there is a thing when it's called, what is it, planet alignment, planet precession, planet alignment stuff. Now, I witnessed this shit in the sky. It was the most amazingest fucking thing. And so in our waters, we have this greatest reflection pool ever, like known to man. It's motherfucking huge. It can get perfect still some nights. So you have the moon, and then you'll have all the planets that are coming up by the moon, right? Because you can't really, in our reflection pool, you can't see stars reflecting. I've never seen the stars reflecting, or maybe I haven't looked hard enough, but the moon is right here, and so are the planets. So those reflect. And there was this bright ass red planet, kind of what she's about to describe. This bright motherfucking red planet comes up on the steps, and that's what we talk about, the steps. So he's watching it. Okay, that one's coming there, that one's coming here, that one's coming here, that one's coming here. They're watching it go across the sky.
On the first step, Kishar in the eastern skies appeared. Lahamu on the second step was seen. Mumu on the third step was announced. Anshar by the fourth step rose. Lamu on the fifth step was seen. The moon from the sixth step was announced. Then, on a signal from Zamul, the hymn, the planet of Anu, in the sky, and the hymn, the planet of Anu in the skies rises, began to be sung.
Nibiru was rising above the horizon.
For from the topmost step, the seventh, the red haloed Nibiru into view came.
Red.
To music, the Anunnaki clapped and danced. To music, they danced and sang. To the one who grows bright, the heavenly planet of the Lord Anu, they sang. On the signal, a bonfire was lit, seen from place to place where the bonfire started. Before the night was over, the whole land of Eden was with bonfires lit.
Wow.
After a meal of bull meat and ram meat, of fish and fowl, with wine and beer accompanied, Anu and Antu to their overnight quarters were accompanied. By Anu and Antu were all the Anunnaki thanked. For several earth days and nights, Anu and Antu slept. On the sixth day, his two sons and daughter Anu summoned. Of what had on earth transpired, their accounts he heard. Of the peace and the warfare he learned. Of how the earthlings, by the oath of Enlil to be wiped off, had again proliferated, Anu heard. Of the gold discovery in the land beyond the oceans, and the chariots placed there, Enlil to him revealed. It was then that of the dream and the tablet from Galzu, Enki to his father told. By that was Anu greatly puzzled. A secret emissary by that name to earth by me was never sent.
You hear that? That was the emissary where I always say, is this God? Is this the manifestation of frequency coming into play to say, hey, listen, man, you know, we have to keep this, because they even said they were pawns to destiny, not to fate, to destiny. It was destiny that humans would be created, left on this planet alone to be just what we are right today, or whatever we want to be. It was destiny, and this guy Galzu, whoever fuck that might have been, it could have even been in Black Ops on the planet. You know what I'm saying? To think a whole planet with a kingdom on it and fucked up leadership, you know, with all these princes, and there wouldn't be some Black Ops people that are doing some back alley shit is beyond thought. I think you gotta think that. So here, Anu's like, yo, I never said no Galzu. I don't even think he existed. But remember, Galzu said he went to school with Nimma.
A secret emissary by that name to earth by me was never sent, so did Anu to the three leaders say. Puzzled were Enki and Enlil. Baffled, they at each other looked. On account of Galzu, Zusudra and the seed of life were saved, Enki said. On account of Galzu on earth we remained, Enlil to his father said. The day to Nibiru you return, you shall die, so did Galzu to us say. Incredulous of that was Anu. The change of cycles indeed havoc did cause, but with elixirs cured it was. Whose emissary, if not yours, was Galzu?
What?
Enki and Enlil in unison said. Who the earthlings to save wanted, who on earth made us stay? Ninarsag, her head slowly nodded. For the creator of all did Galzu appear. Was the creating of the earthlings also destined? Of that I must wonder. For a while the four of them were silent, each one past events in his heart recounted. While fates we decree, the hand of destiny every step directed, so did Anu say. The will of the creator of all is clear to see. On earth and for earthlings, only emissaries we are. The earth to the earthlings belongs. To preserve and advance them, we were intended. If that is our mission here, let us accordingly act, so did Enki say. The great Anunnaki, who the fates decree, councils exchanged regarding the lands. To create civilized regions, the great Anunnaki decided, therein knowledge to mankind provide. Cities of man to establish. Therein, in sacred precincts, abodes for the Anunnaki create. Kingship as on Nibiru, on earth establish. Crown and scepter to a chosen man given. By him the word of the Anunnaki to the people convey, work and dexterity to enforce. In the sacred precincts a priesthoodship to establish, the Anunnaki as lofty lords to serve and worship. Secret knowledge to be taught, civilization to mankind convey, to create 4 regions, 3 for mankind, 1 restricted, the Anunnaki resolved. The first region in the olden Eden land to establish, for Enlil and his sons to dominate. The second region in the land of the 2 Narrows thereafter to follow, for Enki and his sons to lord. The third region, with the other 2 not mingling, in a distant land to Inanna grant. The fourth region, for the Anunnaki alone consecrated, the peninsula of the place of the chariots will be. Now this is the account of Anu's journey to the lands beyond the oceans.
Now you heard that real quick though. That was Anu's decree. He sat there, he watched the fucking planets come up. He watched Nibiru come up, right? The red planet, it's red. You might say, I look in the sky and Mars is red. No, Mars is orange. Mars is orange. Like Nibiru is red. I don't know what it was. I ain't never seen no red thing like that in the sky. That shit was red as fuck. It was right in line with all the planets. It was in 2020 before she got here the year I got all these dope ass pictures. I was out for all those full moons. It was the most magical year to be outside at nighttime in 2020. It was fucking absolutely crazy amazing.
And realize it's the year everybody was told to stay inside.
That was the year prophesized Nibiru or the Anunnaki or the gods were coming back. And that's when they were right in our solar system coming through. And last year, everyone's got pictures of 2 suns in the sky or 2 huge, there's the sun and something. If something was that close to the sun, of course it would be illuminated, just look like the sun. It would be super bright. Look at our moon. That's a reflection of the sun hitting it, so it'd be the same thing, so I'm a true believer in that, because it's written and it's that time, and everyone that has researched it says, holy shit, that is the time. And when you look at the skies, you see the skies that they wrote about, the exact representation of what they said they saw. You're like, damn. The only thing is,
you can't really refute it.
Yeah, when she said that where they were in the sky, see, I saw that star 3 stars before the moon, because in where we live, it all comes up in the water. So there's this flat plane of water, and then doop, 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 and it all reflects on the water until it gets a little higher, because the smaller ones don't reflect, only the moon. So, but it's right off the level of the water. It reflects a huge laser beam on the water. So that's what caught my eye. I was like, what the hell is that? And I was like, that's above the horizon. I'm like, wait, it's moving with those other planets. I'm like, oh, that's fucking Nibiru. I'm like, holy shit, it's red as fuck.
And see, to a lot of people out there who are not realizing what the truth is about our alien ancestors, if you will, people are just going to see that as anomalies in the sky, where he knows he's read, he's studied, he knows what the shit looks like. We're teaching you what it looks like. So he pinned it, whatever you want to call it, right away. Knew it exactly what it was. Knew exactly what the fuck that was.
Yeah. Because I watch sky all the time. And there's nothing like red. There's nothing like these crazy colors in the sky, unless it's something else, right? So when I saw this red fucking planetary ball moving with all the other ones that were in alignment together, I was like, no fucking way. There it is. There it is, man. And that's why I think everything was so magical. That started the age of enlightenment, the age of Aquarius. You know what I'm saying? And that's when they said they were coming back. They looked for the stars, because in a 25,000 year procession, you are back at the exact same stars you were at one time. You know what I'm saying? So they could track these things through time. And where was I at that time? Okay, cool. If it's 25,000 year, and say you have a starting point here, and it takes 25,000 years for you to go back to that point, you say, well, you just went in a circle. But no, maybe my circle goes this way sometimes. Maybe it's over here. Maybe it's over here. Maybe it's up here. Maybe it's down here. And then 25,000 years later, 26,000 years later, it's going to come right back to the exact same fucking point that you once started at, that you've never went back to before. That's how we see our stars. That's how we see our skies. That's how it's written. That's how they knew astronomy. This is, you're on Earth. You don't know shit. The space is way bigger than you, and you have to look at it from way outside and to know what the hell is going on, where you're at. So that's what they were able to do in these things. And this is how they track stuff, to know what to do, where to be, how to be there, and when we can come back. You know, so I think they were pretty fucking close, though, actually, this time. I think they were pretty close. They said it was the seventh ball, the seventh step that came up. I think I saw it in the first to third ball. I can't quite remember. I think I have a picture of it. I'm going to look up this picture and find it.
The topmost step, the seventh.
The seventh step.
The red haloed Nibiru.
Yep. They said it had a crown on it, like a third eye. Like a crown third eye. But it has wings. It's got wings because it's flying through the sky.
Now, this is the account of Anu's journey to the lands beyond the oceans, and how in the first region for the Anunnaki, cities were reestablished. Having the decision about the four regions and mankind's civilizations made, Anu about his grandson Marduk inquired. I must see him again, to the leaders Anu said. Whether by Dumuzi and Ningazida to Nibiru inviting, Marduk's ire I myself have caused. So did Anu wonder to reconsider the punishment of Marduk he wished. When to the lands beyond the oceans you journey, Marduk to meet you will be told. The land where he roams in those parts of the earth it is, so did Enlil to Anu say. Before, for the distant lands the royal couple went, the Eden and its lands Anu and Antu surveyed. Eridu and Nubuki they visited. Where the cities of the first region were planned, they saw. In Eridu, Enlil about Enki complained. The me formulas to himself Enki is keeping. Anu, on the seat of honor seated, words of praise to Enki said. My son for himself a magnificent house built beautifully on a platform it is raised. To the people that the house surround and serve, great knowledge will Enki give. Now, the knowledge that is the me's is secreted, with other Anunnaki must be shared. Embarrassed was Enki. to share with all the divine formulas to Anu he promised. In the ensuing days, in sky ships traveling, Anu and Antu, the other regions surveyed.
1 second. So you heard that. Lord Enki held the me formulas. And you might say, what the fuck are me formulas? Just say it. Me. He had the frequencies. So with these frequencies, you could make anything.
The seeds. They were the seeds of life, essentially.
He wasn't sharing them with nobody. So he was told, what are the me formulas I'm talking about specifically? The me formulas to make people. He said, hey, you need to share that with the rest of them because we got to start civilization. This is Anu, the king of another planet. It's not TwizTD RootZ. It's not this dude. It's this is Anu said that on this planet. He came here and said, hey, man, listen, share the me formulas of how to make people so we can start civilization. I'm going to go visit Marduk over here, and he's banished. Remember, Marduk was banished to North America. Watch what she says here. It's crazy. This is Anu talking.
In the ensuing days, in sky ships traveling, Anu and Antu, the other regions, surveyed. Then, on the 7th day, to Unugaki, the royal couple returned for one more night of rest. In the morrow, when the younger Anunnaki before Anu and Antu for a blessing came, Antu, to his great-granddaughter, Inanna, took a liking. He drew her closely. He hugged and kissed her. Let all my words heed, to the congregated he announced. This place, after we leave, to Inanna as a dowry is given. Let the sky ship in which we the earth shall survey to Inanna my present be. Joyed, Inanna to dance and sing began, her praises of Anu as hymns in times to come were chanted.
So Anu granted her the land that they were on right then, and the spaceship.
His sky ship.
The fucking spaceship, his Anu ship. Here's my Anu ship.
She got it all. He liked her. It's his favorite. His favorite granddaughter.
She gave good frequency.
She gave good frequency. Thereafter, bidding farewells to the Anunnaki for the lands beyond the oceans, Anu and Antu departed.
So remember, there's Europe and Middle East. There's all that shit over there, Africa, Russia, all that shit's one continent, right? And then they went to the lands across the ocean, right? Now, to them, it could have been Australia, sure. But at that time, could Australia have been connected? Possibly. There's a lot of islands over there, right? So it possibly could have been connected before the flood. So they went to the lands beyond the oceans. There's only one place where there's brownish, red-skinned Native American people that built pyramids and worshiped snake gods. There's only one place where gold just flew out of the damn ground, right?
There's only one place where there's horned beasts.
Yeah, there's only one place where those Native American indigenous people hunted these horned beasts. There's only one place on the planet.
Enlil and Enki, Ninurta and Ishkur, with them to the golden land went. To impress Anu the king with the great golden riches, Ninurta an abode for Anu and Antu built. Its stone blocks to perfection cut, with pure gold inside were covered. A golden enclosure with flowers of carnelian stones carved. The royal couple awaited.
Carnelian stones. Do you know what those are?
Bright red. Yes, I do. I have a few of them.
Beautiful.
By the shore of the great mountain lake was the abode erected. How the gold nuggets are collected, the visitors were shown. There is gold here enough for many shars to come, Anu, satisfied, said. To a place nearby, Ninurta to Anu and Antu, an artificed mound showed. How to a place for melting and refining metals it was made, Ninurta explained. How a new metal from stones was extracted, he showed them. Anak, Anunnaki made, he called it. How by the combining it with the abundant copper, a strong metal he invented, he showed them. On the great lake from whose shores the metals came, Anu and Antu sailed.
See, what the fuck is this metal? Like, come on.
It's Anak.
We gotta alchemy this shit up, man. For real. You're trying to Philosopher's Stone and shit. They literally give us recipes like for vibranium. It's 3 metals put together. It's a frequency when you swing it or rotate it, it happens. Like, this is the strongest metal they ever fucking knew. Like, and it ain't bronze. That's bronze, man. No, it's not bronze. It can't be. They said a stronger metal than what? Copper? Well, bronze.
How they combining it with the abundant copper, a strong metal he invented, and it was a metal from stones, was extracted from the lake, on the Great Lake, from whose shores the metals came.
Yeah.
There's a lake where those metals that he combined with copper and created it.
Yeah. Could it be bronze? He said a strong metal. Is bronze strong? Is it? I don't know.
The Lake of Anak, Anu called it.
Lake Baikal.
Henceforth, this was its name. So find that on the map.
Lake Baikal.
Then from lands from the north, lands where great horned beasts are hunted, Marduk, before his father Enki and his grandfather Anu came.
Lands to the north, right?
Then from lands from the north.
Lands from the north. So it's either in South America, Lake Baikal, Lake Titicaca. That's what it was, Lake Titicaca, Lake Baikal area. Then they flew lands to the north. Now, see what I'm saying, though? They don't even count Central America. It was all north. You know what I'm saying? So they flew north.
It was here and there. It wasn't like there was no middle. It was just.
So they flew north on what they were calling the same continent, flew north to where the lands of the horned beast roamed. That's North America, baby.
Then from lands from the north, lands where great horned beasts are hunted, Marduk, before his father Enki and his grandfather Anu came. Nabu, his son, was with him.
Marduk.
When Enki about Sarpanit inquired, Marduk with sorrow of her death them told. Now Nabu alone with me has remained, to his father and grandfather, Marduk said. Anu, Marduk to his chest pressed. Enough, you have been punished, to him he said.
Oh, sorry, Papa.
With his right hand on Marduk's head. Anu, Marduk to be forgiven, blessed. From the golden place, high in the mountains, all who had gathered to the plain below went. There, stretching to the horizon, Ninurta, a new place for the chariots, has prepared.
Yep.
Anu and Antu's celestial chariot stood there ready. With gold to the brim it was loaded. As the time for departing came, Anu to his children words of goodbye and guidance said. Whatever destiny for the earth and the earthlings intended, let it so be. If man, not Anunnaki, to inherit the earth is destined, let us destiny help. Give mankind knowledge, up to a measure secrets of heaven and earth them teach. Laws of justice and righteousness teach them, then depart and leave. So did Anu to his children fatherly instructions give. Once more they hugged, embraced and kissed, and from the new chariot's place, Anu and Antu for Nibiru left.
So that's what he said to do. 1 second. That's what he said to do. That was his order, right? Teach them this, teach them kingship, teach them this priestship shit so they can worship us, right? But then they told him to leave.
And leave.
They told him to leave, not stay here and rule, right? But, things didn't quite turn out that way because Anu, when Debo's here, we'd be quiet. When Debo's gone, we'd be talking again. And that's exactly what they did up until today. So Anu said, do this and leave. If it's destined that the humans should own the earth, then let them own the earth. And they put kingship and all this rules and orders was put through on them. So when you're talking about mankind did this and mankind made all these things up and man did this, it's not what it says. It says Anu said, this is how we run Nibiru. You're us. You run earth like this. You run earth like this and it'll be good. basically, because their planet was good, right? But they didn't realize that everybody on this planet's all mixed up and we're rebellious and shit. We do everything we want to do. We start wars. And then also, the Anunnaki stayed. Yeah, they did. Let's read about that.
The first to break the sorrowed silence was Marduk. With anger were his words. What is this new place of celestial chariots? Of the others, an explanation he demanded. What after my exile without my knowledge has transpired? When Enki of the decisions about the 4 regions to Marduk told, Marduk's fury knew no bounds. Why will Inanna, a cause of Dumuzi's death, her own region get? The decisions have been made. They cannot be altered. So did Enlil to Marduk say. In separate skyships to the Eden and its adjoining lands, they returned. Sensing trouble, Enlil, Ishkur to stay behind, instructed. Over the gold, watch to keep. To commemorate Anu's visit, a new count of time passage was introduced.
1 second before you get into that. So here they are. Marduk, I told you guys, Marduk was literally in fucking North America. He built the Tower of Babel in this motherfucker, right? Because he had fucking, what's his face? That big giant motherfucker, right? These were all on his side. He took them all to North America. They built the Tower of Babel. It was said that they would rule the place of the 2 towers, right? Well, that's America, right? So he went over to North America and built in the Grand Canyon, right? We wonder what the Grand Canyon was before it was the Grand Canyon. You know what I'm saying? Was it great land with pyramids and sphinxes and cities and frequency buildings? Or was it always just some fucking, scrape on the earth with rivers running through and stuff like that? Because, Marduk lived there. And they specify now or speculate now or have evidence now of actual pyramids that were there, house like a mountain. What if that house of a mountain could have been maybe somewhere, I don't know, North America. But anyway, so he's here in North America building shit. Did he live in Did he live in teepees with the indigenous Americans? Listen, that he lived here with the indigenous people that were here. Ninurta went and grabbed him. You know what I'm saying? One of the people you call the devil, he went and grabbed these Asian Polynesian people and brought them over to North and South America and made them into what they are today, or what they were when they got invaded and slaughtered and shit, right? Because they left them. They were the slaves. Those were the slaves that mined the gold. I know, forgive me, you might say, I'm not a fucking slave. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about thousands of freaking years ago, and ain't no one alive today that was that. Unless you're Anunnaki, can I meet you? Anyway, so these people were Native Americans, right? South and middle and north, and Marduk lived with them. Now down below in the south, he wasn't allowed in the south. He wasn't allowed below Mexico. He was banished to North America, Canada, North America. He chose to be in the Grand Canyon area, right? Now in South America, what do you want that? In South America, major mines going on. They was at Chile, Nazca. They leveled the fucking mountains. They talked about it right there. You heard her in a faceted mountain, right? I don't know what the fuck faceted means, but it means they made this mountain. They cut the fucking top of the mountain off.
That's exactly what it is. It's faceted. It's cut in certain, like when a diamond is faceted, it is cut to show certain aspects and prettiness of diamonds.
Yeah.
It's faceted.
Well, they cut this mountain so they could build fucking places where they could melt fucking rocks down and extract the metal straight out of them there. Because before they were taking rocks to Nibiru. So we always wonder, where's all the rocks? Where's all the fucking extra shit? It's on Nibiru, dude. They took it all to Nibiru. And then they learned smelting. They're like, hey, look, we can melt the rocks out. You just need this high temperature shit. And then came all of our history of learning how to harness the sun and making fire and burning shit at high fucking temperatures and furnaces. That came all of our knowledge and all of our history of those ages. We just went through the Bronze Age. She just talked about the Bronze Age, bro. It came from South America. Everybody thinks that everything came from fucking Europe and shit. No, it was the Anunnaki found shit all over the fucking planet, and they brought it back to where their home base was. It just so happened to be Europe and Middle East and shit. But it really came from all this other place, the Mother Earth. That's just what it is.
Yes.
You want some more real quick? You know what? Might as well. Might as well. So Marduk goes back north. He's pissed because everyone's got a dope-ass spot except him. He's like, man, it's fucked up, bro. I get North American shit. It's all dusty and shit up here. Remember, they wiped everything out. So it's prairies. It's probably prairies everywhere.
By Earth years, but not by Nibiru shars, was what on Earth transpired to be counted. In the age of the bull, to Enlil dedicated, was the count of Earth years begun.
So you hear that. The age of the bull, this is where God became God. The Enlil decreed it. The age of the bull, that's supposedly him and blah, blah, blah. So that's when they started counting it in Earth years, like AD 1 AD, 1 after the flood. What I wonder what they counted it, 1 after the flood.
I'm not sure. When to the Eden the leaders returned, the place of the first civilized region. When to the Eden the leaders returned, the place of the first civilized region, how to make bricks from mud, the Anunnaki and Earthlings taught, therewith cities to build. But where once cities of the Anunnaki alone had stood, cities for both them and Earthlings now arose. Therein, and new cities for the great Anunnaki sacred precincts were consecrated. Therein, the Anunnaki with lofty abodes were provided. Temples by mankind they were called.
There you go. Temples. That was their houses. What's an abode? An abode is a house. So we built lofty abodes for the Anunnaki, and we, in our tongue, called them temples.
Therein, the Anunnaki, as lofty lords, were served and worshipped. By number ranks were they honored.
Here it is.
The heirship to mankind made known. Anu, the heavenly, the rank of 60 held.
60, but why? This is what I don't understand. Why would Anu not get rank 1? What is it, the highest rank? Is there 60 under him? Because this don't make no fucking sense. It's ranking.
To Enlil, the 50 rank was given.
The fuck?
On Ninurta, his foremost son, did Enlil the same rank bestow.
50.
Next, in succession, was the Lord Enki, the rank of 40 he held.
40.
To Nanar, the son of Enlil and Ninlil, the rank of 30 was assigned. To his son and successor Utu, the rank of 20 was allotted. 10, as a number rank, to the other Anunnaki leaders' sons was granted. Ranks by the 5s between the female Anunnaki and spouses were shared. When, after Eridu and Nibruki and their temple abodes were completed, in Lagash, the Gursu precinct for Ninurta was built. His black skybird there was kept.
Blackbird.
Eninu, house of 50, was the temple abode for Ninurta, and Bau, his spouse, called.
Bau?
B-A-U, Bau.
Oh. Bau's coming.
The supreme hunter and the supreme smiter, weapons a gift of Anu, the Eninu protected.
Yep. The supreme smiter. So this is a weapon that Anu gave them, right? Is that what it said?
Weapons a gift of Anu.
Anu. So Anu gave them the smiter, the supreme smiter, and the what?
The supreme hunter.
The supreme hunter, right? So now there's other stories you'll hear. They're called the crasher and the chaser, things like that. That's for that supreme hunter. But the supreme smiter, this is where God comes in. This is where I will smite thee. It's a weapon given to them by Anu, and they abused it. They weren't supposed to. They were supposed to leave and let us pick fucking berries in the woods naked with fucking dreadlocks and shit.
The Eninu protected. Where Sipar, before the deluge had been, on top of the mud soil, Utu, a new Sipar, established. In the Ebabar, the shining house, an abode for Utu and his spouse Aya, was raised. From there, Utu, for mankind, laws of justice promulgated.
In Sipar again.
In Sipar.
So in Sipar, they once again wrote laws for man and everything for them to do. That's probably where we get our shit now. But listen, underneath that city is where they wrote the original shit before the damn flood that's still fucking there that they probably dug up. This is probably what we're reading right here.
Where, because of silt mud, the olden plans could not be followed, new sites were chosen. Adab, a site from Shurubak, not distant, for Nanarsag, as a new center was made. The house of succor and healing knowledge was her temple abode therein named. The mees of how the earthlings were fashioned, Nanarsag in its holy shrine kept. For Nanar, a city with straight streets, canals, and wharves, was provided. Urim was its name.
Yeah, so that's Nimma, the one who actually made people. She kept the me formula sacred in her chambers.
House of the throne's seed was its temple abode called. The moon's beams to the lands it reflected.
Fuck yeah.
Ishkor to the mountain lands of the north returned. The house of seven storms his abode was called. Inanna in Unugki resided. In the abode by Anu, bequeathed to her she dwelt. Marduk and Nabu in Eridu dwelt.
Bequeathed.
In the Eden, their own abodes they did not have. Now this is the account of the first city of men and of kingship on earth.
Go ahead. You can read it.
And how Marduk to build a tower schemed, and wherefore Inanna the Medes stole.
Okay, now here you go. So remember, Marduk's pissed. They have a tower. We hear it's called the Tower of Babel, blah, 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 blah. They try to build a tower to heaven to go be closer to God. That's not what it is, guys. This tower is a spaceport, okay? When we're sitting on the ground here, I don't give a fuck if you believe in gravity or pressure or magnetism. I don't give a fuck what you believe in. But whatever it is, when you jump the fuck up, you're going to come the fuck back down. Real fucking hard, okay? Now, the higher you go up in the air, I'm not saying if you jump up, you ain't going to come down. But if you jump up and have a little bit of propulsion underneath you, you can easily fly away. And that was what they tried to do. That's the heaven to earth bond, okay? Tower of Babel is exactly what they described in the Tower of Babel, that they tried to get closer to God so they can talk to God and blah, 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 blah. That's the heaven to earth bond, right? They tried to bond heaven to earth. That's exactly what the Tower of Babel says that it was for, right? So here it is, Marduk building the Tower of Babel. Now, here's the thing. They described the Tower of Babel being in Babylon or some shit over there in Europe. This is the Book of Lies. The Book of Lies wants you to think everything biblical is centralized, right? Marduk was banished from those lands. He was pardoned, but everyone separated the lands. He wasn't allowed to have a specific land for himself except for North America, the land he was in. He wasn't banished no more. He was able to be cool, but he pardoned him, remember? But he stayed in the same spot. So he builds the Tower of Babel, and they come and fuck him up for it. And here comes just the end of the world. Watch this shit.
In the first region, in the lands of Eden, and in the cities with precincts by their Anunnaki lords, the earthlings' handiworks and crafts were taught. Before long, were the fields irrigated, on canal and riverboats soon sailed. The sheepfolds and granaries were overflowing, prosperity the land filled. Ki Engi, land of the lofty watchers, the first region was called. Then, to let the black-headed people a city of their own possess, it was decided.
So there you go. There's that.
Kishi, scepter city, it was called. In Kishi did the kingship of man begin.
Kishi.
Therein, in consecrated soil, Anu and Enlil, the heavenly bright object, implanted. In it, Ninurta, the first king appointed. Mighty Man was his royal title. To make it a center for civilized mankind, Ninurta to Eridu journeyed. The me tablets that for kingship divine formulas hold from Enki to obtain. Properly attired, with respect, Ninurta Eridu entered. For the me of kingship, he asked.
We have to find out where the fuck this place was on Earth, because it's changed many times. People might say it's this city, that city, this city, that city, but somewhere was the first place. This really sounds to me like it could be somewhere in Africa. People might say, that's Kush, man, that's Kush, the kingdom of Kush. It could be the first place where there was a king, is what I'm saying. And this is the first man king where kingship was passed down from heaven. In your Bible, it says that. This is where it happened. Right here. They built a specific city, filled it with people with the me formulas, and they built a king. Direct descendant from them, right? DNA matching them, where the other ones were washed out a little bit. They had it more, they were demigods, is what we would know them as by TV world. They were a demigod, and this was in Kishi.
Yeah, the me tablets were the formulas to hold there. They weren't like, in Ninurta, the first king was appointed. His mighty man was his royal title.
Mighty man.
In Kishi, the Scepter City, it was called.
The Scepter City.
And the me tablets were passed down to him.
The me tablets. So the formulas of life basically were passed down to this guy. And they also implanted the heavenly bright object. So some kind of power source, I'm thinking, because they always, you know what they say? What?
No, I'm reading it. I want to make sure we're reading it right. And Ninurta went there and with respect to obtain the me formulas from Enki in this instance. That's what happened.
Yeah.
So it was the trading of hands. Enki finally relinquished the me's formulas while they made the first king.
Yeah. Oh, it wasn't really like
that, exactly.
She fooled his ass.
Well, I was going to say later on we find out, but that's what happened. They just traded hands, and
Yeah, but it was in Kishi, so
in Kishi,
some fucking place. But you know what? If Inanna's got it, if Inanna took it, it could have been possibly even France. It could have been over that way area, because that's where she was given. She was given that area and said, here, you can be a part of this and shit. So let's keep reading and see what's going on. This is dope.
Properly attired, with respect, Ninurta Eridu entered. For the me of kingship he asked. Enki, the lord who all the me's safeguards, 50 me to Ninurta granted. In Kishi were the black-headed people with numbers to calculate taught. Heavenly Nisaba writing them taught. Heavenly Ninkashi beer-making them showed. In Kishi, by Ninurta guided, kiln work and smithing proliferated. Wheeled wagons to mail asses harnessed.
Yep.
Craftily in Kishi first were fashioned. Laws of justice and righteous behavior in Kishi were promulgated. Kishi.
Oh, that's Kish. That is Kish.
It was in Kishi that the people hymns of praise to Ninurta composed. Of his heroic deeds and victories they sang. Of his awe-inspiring blackbird they chanted.
Yeah, that's Kish.
How in faraway lands the bisons he subdued. How the white metal to mix with copper he found. Ninurta's glorious time it was. With the constellation of the archer he was honored.
So that was tin. He found tin and mixed it with copper, making bronze.
All the while, possibly, yeah. All the while, Inanna and Inuki, her lordship in the third region, waited. All the while, the domain of her own of the leaders she demanded. The third region, after the second one, will come, her leaders thus assured her. Having seen how Ninurta to Eridu journeyed, how the me of kingship he obtained, Inanna to her heart a plan devised. To obtain me from Enki she schemed. Her chambermaid, Ninshubur, to Eridu she dispatched. a visit by Inanna to announce. On this hearing, Enki to Isimud, his housemaster, quickly instructions gave. The maiden, all alone, to my city Eridu her step is directing.
This is Kish. So this is probably why the Iraqi war, we probably went to their aid, because this is where kingship started, Iran.
Her chambermaid Ninshubur to Eridu she dispatched, a visit by Inanna to announce. On this hearing, Enki to Isimud, his housemaster, quickly instructions gave. The maiden, all alone, to my city Eridu her step is directing. When all alone she will arrive, my inner chambers let her enter. Pour for her cold water to freshen her heart. Barley cakes with butter give her. Sweet wine prepare, the beer vessels to the rim fill up. When Inanna alone the abode of Enki entered, Isimud Enki's commands followed. Then, when Enki Inanna greeted, by Inanna's beauty he was overwhelmed. With jewelry was Inanna bedecked. By her thin dress, her body she revealed.
Ooh, like you yesterday. The other day, I was like, damn, titties, girl. She's like, what? You can see my titties? I'm like, I can see every aspect of them titties, girl. And she's like, I used to wear this when I was even bigger. I'm like, oh, yeah, they completely saw every titty, everything.
Every titty.
Every part of them titties.
Then, when Enki Inanna greeted, by Inanna's beauty he was overwhelmed. With jewelry was Inanna bedecked. By her thin dress, her body she revealed. When she bent down, her vulva by Enki was thoroughly admired.
So when she bent over, she had camel toes sticking out the back, bro. I mean, that's so hot.
From the wine cup, sweet wine they drank. For beer drinking, a competition they had. Show me the me's, Inanna to Enki playfully said. Let me in my hand hold. 7 times in the course of the competition, Enki to Inanna me's to hold gave. The divine formulas for lordship and kingship, for priesthood and scribeship, for love dressing and for warring, me's to Inanna Enki hold gave.
Yep.
For music and singing, woodworking and metals and precious stones, 94 me's that for civilized kingdoms are needed, Enki to Inanna gave.
See, she was tricking him in a drinking game because he wanted to bang her. But remember, she already banged his son, Jesus.
Holding her prizes tightly, Inanna from the slumbering Enki slipped away. To her boat of heaven she rushed. To soar away, her pilot she instructed.
Yep.
When Enki from his slumber by Isimud was awakened, get hold of Inanna to Isimud, he said. From when Isimud, that Inanna had already on her boat of heaven departed, Enki heard to chase Inanna in Enki's skyship. Isimud he instructed.
Yep.
All the me's you must retrieve, to him he said. At the approach to Unugi, Isimud, Inanna's boat of heaven, intercepted. To return to Eridu, and the wrath of Enki face he made her. But when Inanna back to Eridu was brought, the me's with her no more were. To her chambermaid Ninshubar she gave them. To the house of Anu in Inuki Ninshubar took them. In the name of my power, in the name of my father Anu, I command you, the me's, to return. So did Enki angrily to Inanna say. In his abode, captive he held her. When of this Enlil heard, to Eridu to face his brother he came. By right the me's have I obtained, Enki himself in my hand placed them. So did Inanna to Enlil say. The truth of that Enki meekly admitted. When the term of Kishi shall be completed, to Unukki kingship shall pass, so did Enlil declare. When Marduk all this did hear, greatly he was enraged. His anger no bounds knew. He's always mad.
He is.
Enough has my humiliation been, to his father Enki, Marduk shouted. A sacred city of his own in the Eden from Enlil he forthwith demanded. When Enlil to Marduk's appeal no heed paid, Marduk fate in his own hands grasped.
Said, all right, bitch.
To a place that for Anu's arrival, before Unuk-Ki was selected, was considered. Nabu, the Igigi, and their offspring from their dispersal lands summoned.
See?
For Marduk, therein a sacred city, a place for skyships to establish. When his followers at the place assembled, stones to build with they found not. Marduk how to make bricks and burn them by fire to serve as stone to them he showed. Therewith a tower whose head the heavens can reach, they were building. To thwart the plan Enlil to the place hurried. To placate Marduk with soothing words he tried. To stop Marduk and Nabu in their endeavor, Enlil did not succeed. In Nibruki, Enlil, his sons and grandchildren assembled. What to do they all considered. Marduk, an unpermitted gateway to heaven, is building. To earthlings he is entrusting. So did Enlil to his sons and grandchildren say, if this we allow to happen, no other matter of mankind shall be unreached. This evil plan must be stopped, Ninurta said. All with that agreed. It was nighttime when from Nibruki the Enlilite Anunnaki came.
So hold on 1 second. So that right there was the gods literally straight up said, they have everything we have. We're teaching them all that we know. They can't have space too. They're like, no, you're teaching.
We're gonna put a cap on this shit.
You're teaching the humans how to go to space. No, they pick which one of us they want to take up there if we're righteous enough and shit. You know, maybe if you know enough truth. Right. So the me formulas is really interesting. What could the me formulas possibly be? They were talking about precious stones and how jewelry and weapon making and blah, 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 blah. It's got to be the frequency of how to do it, like what it is. You know what I'm saying? To like be a master of it. It's hard to even fathom what the me formula is.
What are they really?
Like I think it's like how to do it. But
I feel like it's also a part of, well, see, that's just it. I think it's also a part of like a secret ingredient almost that is needed to actually create these things.
I think it's are like the frequency knowledge of it. That's why Inanna became the frequency goddess over time, because she stole all the damn frequencies and absorbed them. It's like the witch show we're watching. Yeah. They have the different little boxes they open and shit. If you know all of them, you can use all of them at one time thing. That's when she became the frequency goddess. And I think that's what we're hearing here.
Possibly.
I think the me formulas are frequency formulas we can't yet understand, but we see it in cymatics. You know, when they say they made the carnelian, stones and stuff or whatnot, I heard rose. I heard the flower of life. That's what I heard. I heard they carved the flower of life into those stones. So they were frequency. That's what I heard. But let's keep going. This is fascinating.
It was nighttime when from Nibruki the Enlilite Anunnaki came. From their skyships, havoc upon the rising tower. Fire and brimstone they rained.
So who?
It was nighttime when from Nibruki the Enlilite Anunnaki came. From their skyships, havoc upon the rising tower, fire and brimstone they rained.
So not exactly Enlil. So not exactly God. God didn't exactly, God in your Bible. God didn't exactly do it. Enlil didn't. He had Enlil lights. What does that mean? Does that mean someone that's just cool with Enlil? No. These were bloodlines in those days. Okay, so Enki's bloodline, his cousins, his kids, his grand cousins, whatever the fuck they were, his people flew spaceships, skyships, they called them Thunderbirds, flew it over and destroyed the Tower of Babel. And then did what? With fire and brimstone. We got to look up this fire and brimstone. Were they shooting volcanic rock at motherfuckers? Because that's what the shit is.
To the tower and the whole encampment a complete end they made. to scatter abroad the leader and his followers, Enlil thereupon decided. Henceforth their counsels to confuse, their unity to shatter, Enlil decreed. Until now, all the earthlings one language had, in a single tongue they speak. Henceforth their language I shall confound, that they each other's speech will not understand. In the 310th year since the count of earth years began, did all this happen.
So 310, we're going to say after,
since the count of earth years began.
Since the beginning, 310, year 310. And it's not, if they say AD, we got them. We got them, baby. That's Dumuzi. Because it was right after Dumuzi that they're like, hey, let's start counting these in earth years. We put everything back together. Everything's good. Let's count it. So in 310 years, right, the Tower of Babel is being built because Marduk's being like, he's been there the whole time. Marduk's been there forever. He's never been in control of anything, but he's a prince of the other, the firstborn prince. He's a prince of him. And he's like, man, I ain't getting shit, dude. He's watching his dad get worshipped, his brothers getting worshipped because he's Jesus. All these things are happening. He ain't doing shit because he loved a human. He got with a human and got banished. That was forbidden for them. Why you're fucking the animals, bro. You're fucking the workers. You know how when you see rich people and they're so disgusting, they're like you're fucking the help. Like that, you see those movies where the rich chick gets with the dishwasher and you're like, hey, you're not supposed to get with the help. What the fuck you mean? That's a human. But anyway, so he got with the help and he's banished and shit. So he's all pissed off. He's like, fuck you, I'm gonna come over here and shit. I'm gonna build this Tower of Babel real quick. And they destroyed it. And God didn't destroy it, but God decided, Enlil, he decides, I'm gonna fuck up your councils, meaning that none of you guys are gonna think the same way. You're all gonna think differently from now on. Thinking differently. It's your councils, right? You're gonna talk differently and you're not gonna understand each other. And you're gonna get scattered to the far ends of the fucking maps. So that's what he does. It's fucking bullshit. Now we got to figure out Mandarin. Like, damn it. Coolest fucking place, but damn.
In each region and every land, the people of different tongue he made to speak. A different form of writing thereafter to each was given, that one the other will not comprehend. 23 kings did in Kishi reign. For 408 years was it the scepter city. It was also known in Kishi that a beloved king, Itana, for a heavenly journey was taken. At the allotted time, let kingship to Unugki be transferred. So did Enlil decree. To its soil, the heavenly bright object from Kishi was transferred. When the decision to the people was announced, to Inanna an exaltation hymn they sang. Lady of the Medes, Queen brightly resplendent, righteous in radiance clothed, of heaven and earth beloved, by the love of Anu consecrated, great adorations wearing. 7 times the Medes she obtained, in her hand she them is holding.
7 times the Medes.
For the tiara of kingship they are appropriate, for high priesthood suitable. Lady of the great Medes, of them she is the guardian.
See?
In the 409th year after the count of earth years began.
409th year, she became the queen of heaven and the goddess of frequency, the queen of frequency. That's why we know her Ishtar, Inanna. We say her name all the time.
In the 409th year after the count of earth years began, kingship of the first region of Unugki was transferred. Its first king was the high priest of the Iana temple abode. A son of Utu he was. As for Marduk, to the land of the 2 narrows he went, to be the master of the second region. Once established, he expected. Now this is the account of how the second and third regions were established, and how Ningazida was exiled and Unugaki, Arata, threatened. When Marduk, after a long absence to the land of the 2 narrows, returned, Ningazida, as its master he there found, its lofty lord Ningazida was. With the aid of offspring of Anunnaki, who earthlings espoused, did Ningazida the lands oversee. What Marduk had once planned and instructed by Ningazida was overturned. What is it that happened? Marduk of Ningazida demanded. Of the destruction of hidden things, Marduk Ningazida accused. Of making Horon to a desert place depart, a place that has no water, a boundless place where sexual pleasures are not enjoyed. The two brothers an uproar made. Upon quarreling, bitterly they embarked. Pay heed, I am here in my proper place, Marduk to Ningazida said. You have been my place taker. From now on, only a deputy of mine you can be. But if to rebellion you are inclined, to another land go away with you must. For 350 earth years did the brothers in the land of the two Narrows quarrel. For 350 years was the land in chaos. Between the brothers it was split.
So hold on one second. So now we're going to go back in history based on these little things, right? And we're going to find the actual, land of the two Narrows. You guys know that. That's Egypt and, what's that place called? Jerusalem and all that shit. That's what that is, right? That's their flag. It's two triangles, actually. Everyone thinks it's the Jewish star. It's not. It's actually a tetrahedron and a tetrahedron. They're both interlocked. What is it called? As above, so below. That's exactly what it is. They're two tetrahedrons showing the frequency of God, right? And saying as above, so below. And then there's two rivers. That's the two Narrows, the two narrow rivers, right? So when they talk about the land of the two Narrows, that's what it is. The two rivers that go through there and shit. It's like the Tigris and Euphrates or something like that. Okay, so that's the areas they're talking about there. Everything between it and around it, really, because that was the fertile lands at those times. Everything was fucking desert and shit. Go ahead.
For 350 years was the land in chaos. Between the brothers it was split. Then Enki, their father, to Ningazida said, for the sake of peace, to other lands depart. To go to a land beyond the oceans, Ningazida chose. With a band of followers, thereto he went.
So 1 second, I'm sorry, I forgot to finish my sentence. So here we have Muslims and Christians for however many years. She just said slaughtered each other. We're going to go in history. We're going to see these Muslims and Christians, whatever they might have been called at that time. There was religions, because that's what they were told to do, was serve your king, serve your God. Oh, well, you don't want to serve my king or my God? Well, we're going to fight you. And that's what you heard it. The people didn't fight. The two Anunnaki brothers warred with each other on who was the better fucking God over their people. So what they do, they brought their army men. Never again was there going to be a war between the Anunnaki. So they put the humans up against it. Muslim, war, Christian, Jewish, whatever you want to call it. That was that war. And it went on for all those years until Ningazida, was it him? Inerta, one of those dudes.
Ningazida was the one who really probably began the Christianity or Catholicism, because this is exactly what he said was, what is this that's happened of making Horon to a desert place depart, a place that has no water, a boundless place where sexual pleasures are not enjoyed? Like, what religion do we know that things are kind of closed up on that, right?
Well, you'll hear where he goes. You'll hear where he takes his people. He's in the lands of the two Narrows. So I wish I could bring it up real quick. I could show you the lands of the two Narrows, but we're talking about all the two places between Tigris and Euphrates, right? And so they decide, Enlil's like, hey man, Enlil's not even in charge no more. Remember, he's chilling back. He let the millennials be in charge. The people who look exactly like us. Like, she could be Anunnaki and she might not remember, and I don't fucking even know it. That's what I'm saying. Like, in these days, since 2020, any new person you meet man, really pay attention to what frequency they're giving off and who they possibly could be. That new person that came from nowhere into your life could possibly be these motherfuckers walking around us right now. And you don't even know it, because this is when they're said to come back. When it comes close to our planet, they come over and they just stay here for, in their days, it says a couple showers. 2 showers is 7,200 years. God damn, that's a long time. I wish I could live that long and just chill. But so they decide, all right, you're right, man, we probably shouldn't war. I'm going to go over here. I'm going to take my people. He says it. He's like, I'm going to take my people over here and we're going to worship how we do here, right? Let's hear about that.
Go to the land beyond the oceans, Ningazita chose. With a band of followers, thereto he went. 650 Earth years was at that time the count. But in the new domain, where Ningazita, the winged serpent, was called, a new count of his own began. And the land of the Two Narrows, the second region under Marduk's lordship, was established.
Okay, so here we go. We got in the land of the serpent, that's South America, right? That was their own count started. That was the Mayans. The Mayan calendar started. We always wonder how the fuck could they go back in time so long? This is how. They were here the whole fucking time, these motherfuckers, right? So the Mayans actually counted the days that they remember when the Nerda picked them up from across over there in Europe as the Asians or whatever, the people of Cain. We'll just call them that. The people of Cain. The Nerda picked them up, taught them how to build great boats. And they sailed the ocean blue across to North America. Now, they probably stopped at all those other islands and made Polynesian people for those how many ever years, and then got to the Americas and made those people. So those people counted time, and it wasn't the right time. When we look at the Mayan calendar, we're like, what the fuck? They counted time from way the fuck back when? But that was when they fucking were created. That's when it says it. That's when they got picked up and brought over here. So it makes perfect sense. They started a different calendar, Mayan calendar. The land of the Two Narrows, Marduk, now takes over because the two brothers were fighting like a motherfucker, right? And Marduk takes this bitch over, and now we're about to come into the time of the bull and all that crazy shit, right? Fucking, that's insane. This shit's insane.
In the land of the Two Narrows, the second region under Marduk's lordship was established. In the annals of the first region, Magan, land of the cascading river, it was called. But by the second region's people, when languages were confounded, Hemta, the dark brown land, it was henceforth called. Natiru, guardian watchers, the Anunnaki were there in the new language called. Marduk as Ra, the bright one, was worshipped. Enki as Ta, the developer, was venerated.
So now we know right there, that gives us a great geographical location. Boom. That's fucking Egypt. The place they talked about before with the Magan. Magan. Okay, Magog, Gog and Magog. That's what it is. Gog and Magog. There's two different places. At first, I believe it was in Catholic place, but that's, what do we know about that? And those were the two giants that founded England. That's crazy. Love it.
Marduk as Ra, the bright one, was worshipped. Enki as Ta, the developer, was venerated. Ningazita as Tahuti, the divine measurer, was recalled.
Tahuti.
To erase his memory, Ra, on the stone lion, his image with that of his son Asar replaced.
Oh.
To count by tens, not by 60, Ra the people made. The year he also by tens divided. The watching of the moon by the watching of the sun he replaced. Whereas under the lordship of Tahuti, the olden city of the north and city of the south were reestablished. Marduk/Ra, the two lands of the north and of the south, into one crown city united. A king, an offspring of Natiru, an earthling, he there appointed. Mina was his name. Where the two lands meet and the great river divides, a scepter city Ra established. splendor to surpass Kishi in the first region he gave it. Mena Nefer, Mina's beauty, it was called. To honor his elders, Ra, a holy city built. To honor Nibiru's king, Anu, he named it.
So while she turns this page real quick and takes this hit of this ganja. Cheers, everybody. Welcome to Ganja Gospel. So here we got Ra. Marduk finally gets a hold of Egypt, starts taking over shit. Now, from the beginning, his father, he was there for most of this, talking to his father when he created all these counts of 60 and shit. He changes everything to 10. He starts changing all the seasons around. He switches it from a world that worship the entire world worshiping the moon and the moon cycles,
and having it in different cycles of 50.
Yeah.
He went to 10.
No, 60. It was 60. It was 60 and then it went to 10, right?
I gotta look at it though.
And I think everything's on a 60 scale now. It goes back to 60. But that's why the world's fucked up and we can't figure it out, because there's all these sun worshipers. He was the one that decreed sun worshiping, and everyone started doing the sun worshiping. Now, we heard in there that these one lands were deemed as the dark-hued lands. Now, I thought about looking up like a geographical map or like Google Earth and stuff and seeing if the land looks darker in some places. I know you're going to see greens, you're going to see browns, you might see reds. I always wonder if they're talking about the actual dirt color or the skin color of the people. Because now if we're talking about skin color of people, we got great geographical markers to go by with what they're talking about. But regardless of how they're saying it, it says like dark hued lands. Okay, so when I hear that, I'm gonna look at the land and go, okay, that land's dark hued. It's not green, so it looks like really good soil. You know what I'm saying? When they're talking about deserts, they talk about the deserts, right? And when they talk about it being fertile or it being green or grass covered or they're talking about the lands. They don't. When they talk about the people, they say haired, like dark-haired people. So
they do. They specifically say hair when they're talking about people,
or
skin for that matter.
Yeah. So it's curious to think, which were they referring to there? Was it the hue of the actual ground that they saw from space? Because that's what they were looking at from up in the sky.
I personally think that's the case.
Yeah. And then they would take their people there. Because, see, that's what it is. I asked the question. I kind of know the answer, but what I think. But, see, I asked the question because what it is, they were looking at the ground from up in the sky. And they're like, all right, look. So that place is dark hued over there. So you take you and your me formulas and your people, you go up there and you inhabit the dark hued lands. I'll go inhabit the jungles over here in the south. You go inhabit the deserts on the east. You go over here by that lake. And that's what it sounds like they did. And they took their people with them. So let's hear about where the hell he goes. Ninurta goes to the lands across the ocean, right? Now, some of you might say, oh, okay, he went to North and South America. No, that's not what they said. That was where they were mining. They weren't going there. They weren't allowed to go where they were mining. It was off limits. That was their mine. That was still Mission Earth in South America, spreading up to North America once they really got a hold of that gold there. So there was only available all of Europe, which is, Middle East is what I'm talking about. When I talk about Europe, I'm not even talking about Germany and all that. I'm talking about where they first landed. Germany and all that shit was frozen. That was still under an ice age. When it all melted, they were like, oh, look at all those new lands to the north, right? There was a great sea there where in the times where before the flood, there was probably a lake. There was probably land that connected that, and it was all frozen. And when that water rose 450 meters, I like to say 420 meters or whatever it might have been, that all shit got covered, and now it's an ocean or the sea, Black Sea, Baltic Sea, or whatever fuck that sea is. That's between, you know, Iran and Africa and all that shit, and you know, Italy and Greece and all that shit right there. So that's where we're talking about. Those people went across that ocean right there, and they inhabited all that. Greece, Troy, they became, why do you think once those people, Spartans, read the history of the Spartans, tell me they weren't direct descendants of these damn gods. Go ahead, baby.
To honor his elders, Ra, a holy city built. To honor Nibiru's king, Anu, with 2 N's, he named it. Therein, on a platform, a temple abode for his father, Enki, Ta, he erected. Its head within a high tower, like a sharp rocket skyward, rose. In its shrine, Ra, the upper part of his celestial barge, deposited. The Ben, it was called. It was the one in which from the planet of countless years he had traveled. On the day of the new year, the king, as high priest, the ceremonies performed. On that day, only alone, the innermost star room he entered. Before the Ben offerings he put. To benefit the second region, Ta to Ra all manner of mees gave. What do I know that you do not know? The father his son asked. Then all manner of knowledge, except that of the dead reviving, to Ra he gave. As a great one of the 12 celestials, Ta to Ra, the constellation sign of the Ram, allotted.
So this is Lord Enki once again talking to his son, who is now supreme god of fucking Egypt, known as Ra, supposedly dragging the sun across the fucking sky. Again, sheepled the people, right? And here's his dad talking about all the shit he told him before, but now he gives him the sign of who? Aries. Okay, so there's the Greek god right there, baby. And then he gives him the sign of the ram. Go ahead.
The water flow of Hapi, the land's great river, Ta, for Ra and his people regulated. Abundance in the fertile soils quickly came. Man and cattle proliferated. By the success of the second region, the leaders were encouraged. The third region to establish they proceeded. To make it a domain of Inanna, as she was promised, they decreed. As befits the mistress of a region, a celestial constellation to her was assigned. Beforehand, with her brother Utu, the station of the twins she shared. Henceforth, as a gift from Ninarsag, her constellation of the maiden to Inanna was allotted. In the 860th year, according to the earth year count, was Inanna so honored. She's Virgo.
860 years, Inanna was given the third region. Now, here it is. When they landed, they had India. That area was their first region, is what they called it. Their second region was the land of the two narrows. That was where, you know, Jerusalem and, what's it called? Where the pyramids are. Egypt, all that shit is. And then they had the third area, that was Africa too. And then they had the third region was above them, right? And so she was granted that. So she had that huge area. Right now we only see it as France, but she owned all of it. All of that motherfucker.
Far away in the eastern lands, beyond 7 mountain ranges, was the third region. Zamush, land of 60 precious stones, was its highland realm called. Arata, the wooded realm, was in the valley of a meandering great river located. In the great plain did the people cultivate crops of grains and horned cattle herd. There two cities with mud bricks they built, with granaries they were filled. As by Enlil's decree required, the Lord Enki, Lord of Wisdom, for the third region a changed tongue devised, a new kind of writing signs he for it fashioned, a tongue of man theretofore unknown, for Arata Enki in his wisdom created.
That's insane.
But the Mies of civilized kingdoms for the third region Enki did not give. Let Inanna what for Unukki had obtained with the new region share, so did Enki declare. In Arata, Inanna, a shepherd chief appointed, akin to her beloved Dumuzi he was. In her skyship from Unukki to Arata, Inanna journeyed. Over mountains and valleys she flew. The precious stones of Zamush she cherished. Pure lapis lazuli with her to Unukki she carried. At that time, the king in Unukki was Enmerkar. The second one to reign therein he was. It was he who the boundaries of Unukki expanded. By its glories was Inanna exalted. It was he who the wealth of Arata coveted. To be over Arata, supreme he schemed. To Arata and Merkar, an emissary dispatched as a tribute, Arata's riches to demand. Over 7 mountain ranges, through parched lands, and then soaked by rains, the emissary to Arata went. To the king of Arata, the demand words of Enmerkar, word for word, he repeated. His language, the king of Arata, to understand was unable. Like the bray of a donkey, its sound was. A wooden scepter inscribed with a message the king of Arata to the emissary gave. To share Unukki's needs with Arata, the king's message requested. As a royal gift to Unukki, grains on donkeys were loaded. With the emissary to Unukki they went. When Enmerkar, the inscribed scepter, received its message in Unukki, no one understood. He brought it forth from light to shade. He brought it forth from shade to light. What kind of wood is this? He asked. Then to plant it in the garden, he ordered. After 5 years, after 10 years had passed, from the scepter a tree grew. A tree of shade it was. Then what shall I do? Enmerkar, in frustration, his grandfather Utu asked. With heavenly Nisaba, the mistress of scribes and writing, Utu interceded. On a clay tablet, his message to inscribe Nisaba Enmerkar taught. In the tongue of Arata it was. By the land of his son Banda was the message delivered. Submission or war, it said. By Inanna, Arata was not abandoned. To Unukki, Arata will not submit, the king of Arata said. If warfare Unukki desires, let one warrior in combat meet. Better yet, let us peacefully treasures exchange. Let Unukki its Mies for Arata's riches give. On the way back, carrying the peace message, Banda fell sick. His spirit left him. His comrades raised his neck. Without the breath of life it was. On Mount Hurum, on the way from Arata to his death, was Banda abandoned. The riches of Arata Unukki did not receive. The Mies of Unukki Arata did not obtain. In the third region, civilized mankind did not fully blossom.
Yep.
That's
So
it.
in the third region, wherever the fuck that is, where the horned beasts roam, civilized man just never caught up because there was lots of fucking riches, but we couldn't trade all the riches in the world for civilization. So that's just so interesting, though. That would be great to get I want to do, get the maps out and turn them and twist them, and how it's got to be to where they say north from there, south from there. It was straight lines. Everything was straight lines with them. You know why? Because they were flying. They would go up in the sky, and they go and they go, this looks like a spot. Let's land here. And they would land and make a big old platform so they could land and shit. It was just how they did it. Everything was exact straight lines and on the magnetic stuff. But I think that's just amazing. What's going to happen next week?
Next week.
So that was 810 years in.
Yeah.
So I want to take time and see, because that's when they started counting Earth years. My encounter started, it says it even, and they were starting to talk about it. So Inanna got granted, remember, she got worshipped in this third region, right? So she was in that spot where in France and stuff like that, But in South America, and especially in Central America, they worship a woman, a feathered woman, and that's her. That's Inanna, right? So they talk about in this. We just were researching it when they had, remember the golden disc, where they could talk to the gods and stuff. That was the first kingdom of South America, and that was the Lake Titicaca people and Lord Bacal or whatever, and probably right before him actually. And that was exactly what we read about right there in that region, the land over the 7 mountains or whatever the fuck. It's great shit.
So we're going to start getting into the stuff that we see as like mythology now, honestly. So the 13th tablet. Next week, royal cities sprout with sacred precincts for the gods.
Oh, shit.
Demigods serve as kings and priests in palaces and temples.
Oh, shit.
Marduk promises his royal followers an eternal afterlife. In Sumer, Inanna encourages belief in resurrection. Celestial omens and foretelling oracles gain followings. Marduk proclaims the coming age of the ram as his sign. Ningazida builds stone observatories to show otherwise. Insurrections, wars.
They're still fighting.
I know, they're still fighting.
Still fighting.
They're like, you bullshit.
They're
I'm going to
brothers.
build this motherfucker and I'm going to show you it's bullshit.
So we wonder real quick, hold your spot. So we always wonder, what did they build all these observatories for? What were they looking for so hard? Were they waiting for their gods to come back? No.
They were trying to prove each other wrong.
Exactly. It was one dude sheepling everybody. Remember, he'd been waiting all them years for power. He finally got it.
He got exiled over and over again.
He don't want to lose that power. Anything he can do to keep that power, he's sheepling everybody to this day.
Oh.
To this day. Motherfuckers, that's what I've been trying to get you guys to understand. Marduk is still sheepling you, right? The one that he has you fooled as Lucifer or the devil, because Lucifer is actually cool. The one you guys think is Shinyaza, the devil that fallen, he was cool as fuck. We wouldn't know shit if it wasn't for this motherfucker. We wouldn't know how to put on makeup, how to make this fucking cool shit, how to make this. We would still be picking motherfucking shit, being slaves. That's what they wanted us to always be having none of their powers and shit, right? They gave us all these fucking secret fucking serums and shit. So here you got these motherfuckers still talking shit. So here one dude was always trying to prove the other one wrong to his people, though. He knew he was wrong. He knew he was full of shit. He's like, no, listen, that's not how he was trying to say, I'm God. Listen, this is why things are. Oh, call me. He was saying, kill all these people. You sacrifice all these people in my name and I'll make it rain. Right? And what would happen was when they wouldn't rain, they expected to see an eclipse. Right? And that was his motherfucking ship covering the sun. That's all the fuck it was. All it was the whole time.
Insurrections, wars, and invasions destabilize Enlilite lands. The mystery emissary appears to Enlil, foretells a calamity, instructs Enlil to select a worthy man to lead survival. Enlil chooses Ibrum, scion of priestly royal family.
Abraham.
Armies raised by Nabu attempt to seize the spaceport. Overruling Enki, the gods resort to weapons of terror. Ninurta and Nergal obliterate the spaceport and sinning cities.
So the humans.
Just one more line.
Oh, sorry.
The drifting nuclear cloud brings death to all in Sumer.
So the humans have a little uprising. They're like, we're going to steal these spaceships, motherfucker. Get the fuck out of here because these motherfuckers, I'm tired of being sheeple, right? What happened? Age of Enlightenment happened on Earth, just like it happens now. We don't want to do what you've been telling us to do. You've been telling us lies. That's what Ninurta, right? Ninurta sparked the Age of Enlightenment, baby. He straight sparked the Age of Enlightenment in people and woke them up it was like, oh, that's not God. Oh, wait, none of you are gods. Oh, what? Hold the fuck on, right? So you might call him the nerd of Jesus, you know, and stuff. Maybe he gets killed later on. Who knows? But one of them motherfuckers was telling people truth, waking them up. So they was like, oh, we're about to go grab these spaceships real quick. They tried. They rushed that shit. They got them. They was in a fight, battles. Well, it was like, oh, no. This shit can't happen. Oh, hell no. Never before have they ever had sheeple controlling their spaceships and flying away and shit. They were like, no, that can't happen, dude. So the evil wind came and destroyed everything, killed every single thing on the face of this planet. Everything died that was on the surface of this planet and in the bubble, like up there kind of thing. Like they had to leave. They were like, peace out, motherfuckers. And now we got the history of ant people, you know, burrowing in the ground and shit like that. We always wondered why. Where would all the fucking insides of the earth go if they burrowed inside the earth that much? Well, we got huge fucking deserts. Huge deserts of pulverized rock just blowing in the wind. It's a good start. That's a good start. I mean, fuck. They didn't eat it. That's for sure. What if they did? Oh, what if it was a rock muncher? They ate rock and pooped oxygen. Wow. Pooped fertilizer. But that's super, super fucking interesting, though, to learn where everybody went, how they were getting worshipped, in you know, where, like she said, we're getting into the real mysticism, mythology, all that stuff that you probably thought never happened on the planet, or maybe thought happened before the flood, and then all got wiped out, and you know, this all happened. But it's even written in your Bible that they had to take the ark around and kill fucking giants. It's crazy, dude.
Lots of cool stuff.
They said that the giants were so big that we were grasshoppers to them. Dude, grasshoppers ain't even as big as this lighter. Imagine being in someone's hand. Dude, imagine that. How fragile. I quit. You better give me some superpower. And that's what they did. They had frequency. And they knew the frequency. See, if you know the frequency of another matter, you're supposed to be able to become it. So, like, if you're able to say the frequency of something, maybe it just melts. And it just disappears. Comes, poof. Comes it. Comes universe. This is a great Ganja Gospel, though. You guys have been wonderful. Cheers to everybody.
Absolutely. Thank you all for joining us today in Ganja Gospel. We appreciate you. Make sure to share the love to all of everybody in the description and give them a thumbs up and all that good stuff. And we will see you next week for more exciting adventures of the Anunnaki.
One more Toki.
Cheers, everybody.
I
hope you all have
a
fabulous
like
Sunday.
It's gonna rain. Happy Sunday to everybody.
Make sure your Sunday fun day is filled with fun.
And
any kind of fun you want.
Thoughts of who might be an Anunnaki walking among you.
Hopefully we opened your mind a little bit today. Gave you some answers and maybe also some questions.
Yep, absolutely.
So peace out, everybody. Much love. Until next time.
Stay frostier than the next guy.